Wij spullen laten liggen, ze de kerk laten ze laten zien. Lijnplek.
Lijnplek. Ik zie Duitse vlaggen.
Die alarm wordt zo niet hard. Is jouw interesse hier?
Oh, wij doen ook zo'n soort blok in de cloud. Dus ja, ze lopen wel altijd met een van de verhalen te vertellen. Ik ben niet tegengekomen, dus je hebt al jaren lang Sigfrids. Sigfrids zijn 3 jaar geleden deze Sigfrids zijn natuurlijk niet samen, die willen alles alleen doen. Dat wordt een
Ik werk voor dat bedrijf.
Oh, je vermaakt zich, kijk, dan ben je met een gratis spullen bestellen. Elk e-mailadres, 110 e-mailadressen. Elk e-mailadres, elke zijn iets bestellen.
Yes,
Een hele studentennetwerk.
with Jan Willem. And Jan Willem is founder of Solar. Yes, and you actually already did a Kickstarter as well yourself in the IoT world. And you want to tell us something about Rhino.
Hi everyone, I'm Jan Willem. I'm from Sodak. We're a company based in the suburb of Amsterdam called Hilversum. I'm going to tell you about a wildlife tracker we're developing at the moment. It's a LoRa-based device, so that's why it fits in. You might wonder why a wildlife tracker. Well, I hope we'll show you in the next slide. So our mission is to develop a low-cost, low-power, matchbox-sized wildlife tracking device. And why do we want to do this? Well, the issue that we have is that there's lots of endangered animals, and we're mainly focusing on the bigger mammals, elephants, rhinos, etc. That need to be protected. Well, to protect an animal, you need to know where they are. That's in basic. You need to know where they are before the poachers get them, because if they do, this is what you end up with. A rhino shot dead just for the precious horn. And that's something that needs to stop. Now, if you look at the technology that is currently available for tracking wildlife, we got VHF transmitter, that's old school technology. Later integration are the GSM trackers, and even later there's some satellite trackers out in the wild there. VHF tracker is basically a collar that you put around the neck of the animal. It's very short range, it just sends an RF signal, some sort of a ping, and then you've got these the rangers that are standing there with the tracking antenna, and they say, well, the rhino is over there. Now, the problem with these is that, A, it's 25-year-old technology, but secondly, poachers can just as easily intercept the signal as that the wildlife protection guys can. And often the poachers have much more resources than the wildlife protection guys. Take, for instance, the price or the value of a rhino horn at the moment is something like $250,000. Well, if that's the bait for the poachers, they have money enough to let's say break into any available technology, you would say. Some sort of a next generation are the GSM trackers. This is a hyena that has a GSM collar around its neck. It's heavy. It weighs 2 kilos. It's kind of ridiculous. We used to do that in Holland with criminals in the 15th century. You know, you got this big block around your neck. Well, that's what they do with the hyenas in the wild, just to know where they're going. They're also very expensive, as it's old technology and it has a battery, has to last for a long time. We all know that GSM radio technology is very power intense, so heavy device altogether. And one of the big problems is that you don't have full GSM coverage in these game parks. So often the animal is roaming around, and 80% of the time they're outside of the coverage, so it doesn't really help you much. The other thing, again, with the GSM, the signal can be jammed, and the signal can be picked up by poachers. So again, you have the same problem as you have with the RF. If the poachers don't want the wildlife protection guys to know where the animals are, but they just put a jammer in. You can buy this jamming equipment just off the shelf. Well, this is in my visit a couple of months ago to the Masai Mara Game Reserve. They gave me one of these collars. I tried it out on my neck. In the first picture that I showed, it looked kind of sweet, and the hyena has the little thing hanging here. But it turns out there's a heavy battery counterweight on the other side, which really makes it unbearable to wear. To overcome the problem that the animal might be out of range in bigger areas of the park, satellite trackers were introduced, especially on elephants. They're used big time. Problem again is huge battery, 13 kilos these things weigh, and they're very expensive. They cost $25,000. So they made a $25,000 solution to solve the fact that there's no infrastructure in the park. So well, we thought that's the wrong solution for the problem. Better get yourself an infrastructure. High usage costs as well. Satellite data is typically much more expensive than any terrestrial data. So we thought it's time for something new. So we scouted around the market to see what is available in technology that offers low cost, GPS positioning, low power, and a long battery life. So what can we do to build this? Well, we found LoRa as a radio technology that we can use to solve these common problems that I just showed you. LoRa devices have an extremely low power usage. You heard that before, you will keep hearing it. It's a very low power technology. In our case, to build a wildlife tracker, it all of a sudden puts us in the position to make the thing solar powered. We want to make something that is matchbox size, so you must be thinking of a matchbox size solar panel. But that's for an animal that's roaming around in the wild in Africa. That matchbox size solar panel is big enough to power a LoRa-based device. LoRa is cheap, and one of the beauties that is often overlooked is because it's a spectrum signal that stays under the white noise level, it's extremely difficult to pick up. So even with these well-equipped and well-sourced poachers, they will have a big problem to identify an animal that has a LoRa tracking device just by using standard radio tracking technologies. And for the same reason, the signal will be very difficult to jam. Again, it's a spectrum signal. So to jam that, you have to jam the whole spectrum, and I think that's kind of hard even for those projects. Now, we talked about what you need is a LoRa infrastructure. It was great when we heard about this initiative of building an infrastructure. We were thinking along the same lines to build our own infrastructure in these game parks. Because the base stations, when we started this project, were really cheap at about €1,200 for a curling gateway. Now, we really appreciate the initiative of Daytona to start launching an even much cheaper gateway, because that will again bring the cost of our project down significantly. These gateways are also very easy and quick to deploy. With the curling gateways has been demonstrated here. You just put a thing on the roof, put a SIM card in it, and you can start transmitting the data. Of course, I hear some people thinking, well, you put a SIM card in, but you didn't have coverage. Now, again, you have to look at it, where do you place the gateways in perspective to where you have a coverage of a GSM signal. Typically, for a LoRa gateway in a game park, we would place it on the hilltops, on the ridges. So on the ridges, we would have a much bigger range than you would have, let's say, on the floor where the animals are walking. So the whole concept of building a network of gateways on ridges that can track animals down there below is very easy to do. Long range, we talked about radiation of a cell of 5 kilometers. That's in an urban environment. We're talking about the bush, we're talking about no metal, nothing that is stopping the signal. So we estimated that each LoRa cell can have a surface area of about 300 square kilometers. And that's very big for data coverage. Take, for instance, one of the best known game parks in the world, the Masai Mara in Kenya, where it was when that picture was shot. We estimated that the Masai Mara can do with just 6 base stations. So we're talking with the curling station, we're talking about less than $10,000 investment to cover a whole game park. So the solution was a $25,000 satellite tracking collar. For the money of one tracking collar, we can build a complete infrastructure in a complete game park that can track literally thousands or hundreds of thousands of animals. Our aim is actually, we're looking at the Kruger Park in South Africa, the Kruger and possibly the Limpopo just across the border in Mozambique. For the Kruger, we estimated that we can cover the whole park with about 60 base stations. So if you look at the picture, this looks a little bit like the picture you saw before of what is done in Amsterdam. This is covering the whole Kruger area, and probably by adding another 30 stations, we could cover the other green patch that is next to it, which is the Limpopo National Park in Mozambique. So the SODAC tracker, matchbox size, solar powered, like I told you before, and we got a prototype ready. We are currently testing with, this is the prototype for our LoRa-based Rhino tracker. So this is it. It weighs about 15 grams. Well, you need a battery and a solar panel to power it. But it has the LoRa module, it has the GPS for positioning information, and it has an accelerometer to detect what motion, what movement the animal is making. So this, fitting in a matchbox size thingy, dangling by the side of an animal, stick it to the ass of an elephant, and we can go track it. Well, this device, to develop and deploy, will cost us less than $100. So we make a less than $100 tracking device that we want to deploy on a very large scale, on elephants, on rhinos, on other endangered animals, even giraffe at the moment are very much under pressure. So we want to deploy this on basically all endangered animals in Africa. Prototype is ready, so this is roughly what it's going to look like. The GSM antenna will be facing up, and it will have a solar panel to get power. Little matchbox size thingy. And this is what I just showed you in a bigger picture there. So we are SODAC, www.sodac.com. Any more questions, just mail us, call us, visit the website. And if anybody wants to help and develop on the back-end side, the embedded side, please get in touch with us.
Oh ja, wat veel dingen zien die heel veel mensen hebben. Vaak is het niet waar, niet dat ze slecht is. Zoals dat ze dat. Maar ik heb letterlijk
Next up is Victor from Trapeze. They have a service of they provide a service which helps you not to lose anything, but I think you can explain to something. Hand ups for Victor.
Thank you very much for being here. This is actually my first day of living in Amsterdam, so I'm glad to share that with you. And I thought it was a pretty cool place, but apparently I'm wrong. I was introduced as a things tracker, and that happens a lot. And we're not going to talk about things tracking today. I want to talk about IoT philosophy. But first, I want to ask you a question. Who has ever used one of these, not to make a very intricate calculation, but just to check on something very simple? I've done it. Yeah, pretty much everyone. And the thing is, you don't do this because you cannot do it yourself. You do it because you want to be very, very sure. You know that the computer is too dumb to make a mistake. If you program it wrong, it'll give the wrong answer. If you do it right, you get the right answer. And what that is peace of mind. You want peace of mind based on digital facts. There is nothing that can go wrong. Now, for Trapeze, we obviously talk about the Internet of Things. But there are several things wrong with this concept, or at least the way we see it. And the first thing that is wrong is that we all know these examples of finding your keys back with a tile, or the fridge that can help you order milk, also called the idiot fridge. And the problem is that although they may be connected, they are not connected to each other. So it's not Internet of Things, it's Internet on Things. Doesn't matter. Actually, it's internet on only a very few things for a very, very specific use case. But let's see what happens if they would be connected together. If my keys are in Switzerland and they're talking to my fridge knows that I'm in Switzerland, then maybe, just maybe, the thing shouldn't be ordering some freaking milk that will be done when I come back. So that's wrong. At Trackies, we understand that very well. We want to connect all these things together, putting the of back into the Internet of Things. But then there's more wrong. Because what are things? Are you a thing? Might be. Good answer. Anybody else here feel like a thing? Not a very normal emotion, I'd say. But on the other hand, I own a lot of things. And my things should be my things. And I feel, you know, I'm a freaking arrogant guy. I feel my things should evolve around me. Am I wrong? Is that a weird thing to think that my things should care about me? Well, there's more than just things. There's places as well. Actually, there's people, places, and objects. Those are all sort of things. But when we get to people, things start getting very complicated because people, excuse my French, fuck up everything. We are very, very unnegotiable. We do weird things. We get drunk. We cannot even handle ourselves, but we mess up pretty much everything in the system. So we have to be connected with these places and our objects. Now, and then there's the question of internet. What is internet? Internet is nothing more than a way to communicate digital data. But then, where does the data come from? There's no connectivity, there's no actual data on the internet. The internet does not generate information, it just communicates. So what we actually want is connected things that connect to more than just the internet. So let's look at the thing. We obviously want the digital connectivity, right? It has to talk to each other via LoRa, via something else, but it also has to connect to the world around us, the physical world, because that is where the thing actually is. And then we get back to the people, because shouldn't it be connected to the human, the thing that it is actually all about? So then we start thinking about a smart thing. If it's truly connected, if it connects to the internet, to the physical world, to the human it belongs to, looking at a smart thing. But it's not quite smart yet, because the thing doesn't connect to itself. A tile doesn't know it's on a key. It doesn't matter to him, it's just a beacon that shoves out a little bit of information. It has no knowledge of how he is supposed to act, considering that he is a key. Now, if you put that sort of intelligence on the thing itself, then we're having a smart thing. So if we look at the human side, of course, we're talking about audiovisual and haptic, so movement or you know, the little buzzers or the thing Apple does that you can feel it. That's the human side. The buttons, by the way, as well. You know, that's the place where I connect with my thing. I put feedback into the actual object. If we look at the world, of course, there's movement, temperature, light, or whatever one of 140 sensors you can think of to monitor this physical world around us. And then we get to the digital part, and that is where, of course, LoRa comes in. We're talking about NAN, PAN, LAN, and WAN, if we're talking about really smart things. And NAN, of course, is a near area network. We're talking about the very humble QRC or NFC. And everything here has its little benefit and its little downsides. PAN, personal area networks, that is where Trackies really specializes. LAN, local area networks, and of course then LoRa, wide area networks. LoRa is beautiful, it goes everywhere, but there's very little bandwidth. If we look at the QRC, you know, we kind of laugh about QRC, but you know, you can actually cut it in half, put it back together, and it's still scannable. That is pretty damn amazing. We go through all the ranges, and what we want to use LoRa for is the fact that it will go everywhere. Low bandwidth, but it will be there wherever you go. We see LoRa as a blanket. It's always there, and what does a blanket do? It gives you peace of mind. Thank you very much.
Up next is Taylor Noor about our experiment on smart buildings.
Override.
Hi everyone. I'm Olav from Talmar. We're a telco in Norway, and there I work in the CTO office where we get to play with exciting stuff that might be relevant to a telco in the future. And currently we're playing a little bit with LoRa, and it's super exciting. But before LoRa, or the way that we got into LoRa, was through Firefox OS. We're working on Firefox OS, which is an alternative operating system to Android or iOS. And the thing was that we were selling them in Bangladesh and other really cheap countries, and we were selling the phones for as little as $20 a piece. And that got us thinking, like, wow, a full-fledged smartphone for $20. If you remove the screen and stuff, it gets below $10. And we're thinking, like, wow, with this we can do something else. We don't have to use the phone as a phone. We can use it as anything. So we started experimenting, and what you see here is a prototype of a connected camera. It was supposed to be a camera that you could just put somewhere, so cheap that it didn't care whether someone stole it. It would just take photos, and it would send those photos back home over cellular. And the reason it's only a picture of a prototype is that it didn't really work. We thought that if you remove the screen from a smartphone and be really clever about battery usage, you can make it last for months and months. But we couldn't get it to last more than days or weeks at most. And the culprit was, of course, the cellular connectivity, which we learned through way too much time, or we spent a lot of time on that. So we went back and looked at all these different connectivity options. And while cellular and Wi-Fi in these are, as already mentioned multiple times, spends a lot of power, low-energy Bluetooth was really exciting because we could, you can make small devices that can run on a coin-cell battery for years. And there's also this crazy thing called low-power wide area networks, which sort of sounded like Bluetooth's low energy, except as we've heard today, the range is insane. It's even better than cellular. So we were sort of excited about this, but it sounded like rocket science, and we didn't really know where to start. But luckily, we work in a telco, so someone must know. And telcos have been doing these IoT things for ages, except they call it machine to machine. Internally, they call it Internet of Unsexy Things. And it's really expensive solutions where you put full GSM things in things like elephants or trucks or offices, things that it's really expensive solutions. But they knew a lot about this stuff, and we went to this division and asked them, hey, what do you guys think about LPVA or what eventually became LoRa, or that's the technology we landed on. And they were super excited about it and how it really lowered the cost of what they had been doing for years and years. So we decided to do something fun to get some experience with this stuff. And decided to make our headquarters into a smart office. And that sounds sort of sexy. That's a cool buzzword. But it turns out that offices aren't that sexy after all. They the big buildings, they're already they're run by software already. So in our office in Oslo, we use this software called MyMCS. In there you inventorize everything, all the rooms, all the furniture, all where the people are supposed to be. Everything is put into this software, and then that software is used to do all kinds of stuff like renovation, moving people around, planning maintenance. So for instance, this floor is being cleaned because it's being cleaned on a schedule, and this software generates work orders. And while it wasn't like a really sexy, cool Internet of Things use case, it's still a really good use case. Trying to use this sensor technology to optimize these processes. And when I was at the toilet here earlier today, I saw that you also had the same problems. And also have found some of the same solutions that we're looking at. The solutions that we're trying to put into our office is, for instance, this button that's being shown. Put it around on different things. So, for instance, instead of having to download an app and then say, hey, this bathroom, it's a mess right now, just put a button on the bathroom. And then when you click it, that means that, hey, this bathroom is a mess. Something needs to be done. Or you can put it by the coffee machine. The coffee machine is broken again. So that really, that's a really easy way of removing a lot of the complexities that exist in office maintenance today. Then there's things like putting sensors on the desks, because we have moving desks. We don't own our own desks. So some desks are used all the time, while other desks aren't used at all. But the people who arrange these desks have no clue. They have to walk around the office all the time and see, oh, this room is empty today. Maybe more people should be in this area. This room is packed. We need to do something. And then the last one is taking the toilet thing one step further and actually putting small magnetic sensors in all the doors on the toilets. And then when a toilet has been used 50 times, just generate the work order. Instead of cleaning the toilets 2 times a day, just clean it every X number of use. So these are ways that we want to optimize the office using LoRa. And because it's like there's no wires, there's no infrastructure, you just get the sensor, stick it on the wall, and you're up and running. So in theory, this is really easy. But this is where we are right now. That's my desk, and that's the gateway. So we haven't come that far. I was like super amazed by the keynote today, seeing how far you guys have come in 6 weeks, because this is how far we've come. And slightly more time even. We have 3 more of those sitting like behind the picture, and they are supposed to get up on the roof as soon as we get some permissions that we're waiting for and have been all summer. So yeah, I'm super impressed by what you guys have been able to do. But yeah, these sensors, they're sort of boring, and we've also tried to experiment a little bit with more exciting kinds of sensors. This is a combination of a Bluetooth shield and a LoRa shield. Both of them run on a coin cell battery. And then of course there's a motion sensor, a peer sensor there as well. So this is a module that you can just stick on the wall, and it broadcasts a URL. So when you go past it, your phone will like silently show a URL to the meeting room availability, and that meeting room availability, and then you can book the room if it's available. If not, it's taken. And then the sensor will detect whether it's actually used. If not, someone's just booked the room because they might need it. So if they book the room and it's not in use, that entry is deleted. So this might work, it might not work. I wouldn't buy 2,000 of them up front and see whether they work. So this is a really great way of prototyping them, and it just works on the very small network we have at the office so far. So yeah, that's Telenor Smart Office as of yet.
Thank you very much, Anna, for coming from Norway today, especially the flying back in 2 hours. Unfortunately, we couldn't stay for the weekend. Next up is 30 megahertz. They're the IoT partner of the Port of Amsterdam, and they're going to tell me about the projects for the port. There it is. Thank you. I'm working at a company called 30 megahertz. We have a sensor solution
which is called Sensi. In this presentation, I will give you a short introduction of what Sensi is capable of, but also show our already implemented dashboards, and then show what we are planning to do or already doing for the Amsterdam together with Port of Amsterdam. So, in short, Sensi provides an end-to-end sensor solution. You can connect to a wide variety of premier existing sensors. It can be sensors the customer buy at any random shop, or that are already installed in the ceiling of maybe a building. Sensi is scalable. You can handle thousands of events per second. It enables you to collect, store, and analyze the data you collect in your building or in your environment. It's a building or it's a harbor or anything. And it also enables you to visualize data in your custom dashboard and send in notifications if you would like. So I'm now hopefully going to our dashboard. This is our smart building. So it's this is one of our customers. This is a mental health care institution. This mental health care institution, they have a lot of meeting rooms, and they want to know the occupancy rate of the building, if they could make the process more efficient, etc. This is real time, so this is at this moment now in Hillegvaart, a small town in North Holland. If you look at the screen for a long time, you can see change the red and green icons at the moment. What we did there is that we did with our technique, we used the existing movement sensor in the ceiling, connected with our sensor connect, we call it. And that way the DOM sensor comes alive and is transmitting the data to our application. So you can also, like I said, collect also data. So if I click on one item, you can see this page is very interesting. Another room, you can see the occupancy of the last 24 hours. And now it's a bar chart, but we are working on all sorts of widgets that our customers can create their own dashboards. You can see today, we also can see this week, this month, and you can see the day-night pattern of course. So this is one solution we already implemented. Another solution I would like to show you is it's now on a phone scale, but it's a Syngenta. It's a multinational in the agricultural sector. We got contact with Syngenta, and they have all sorts of glass houses, many glass houses, and they would really like to know real-time circumstances, environmental circumstances in their glass houses. So they asked us, can you, do you have an ethylene sensor in your inventory? No, we did not, but we were Googling, bought an ethylene sensor online, and connected it to our application. But we also have temperature, humidity, and oil, the amount of light into the glass house. This is Syngenta, this is in Enkhuizen. At this moment, you can see it's now cloudy in Enkhuizen. This morning when I left there, in Enkhuizen, it was sunny. At this moment, it's now 40, 38 here. It's cloudy in Enkhuizen. So we have the data, real time, and also historical. And also see the temperature. It's the same. We do it the same way. So this is our solution. How did we do it? I'm not a technical guy, so I'm staying a bit more general. This is our customer in Hillegvaart. We used the sensor software and hardware in combination with Zigbee and the internet infrastructure that our customer is already there. You see the height of the building is about 80 meters, so no problem for us. This Syngenta, it is 600 meters. There's no internet infrastructure in the glass houses, so we had to think of another solution, and that was with a mobile data connection, 3G. But then, we became a partner of the Port of Amsterdam, and the Port of Amsterdam has an ambitious goal to strive to be one of the smart logistics hub by facilitating technical innovation for the port area and Amsterdam metropolitan region. As you can see, the building on 80 meters, Syngenta 600 meters, but it's 35 kilometers from the North Sea all the way to Amsterdam. So here, there's not always an internet connection available. not always a mobile data connection available. One of the first projects we are doing together is to measure and monitor the high impact of unloading processes on the poles. On the right side you see the poles, and on the left side you see the Google Web View. There's a boat unloading at the moment, not in the moment, then if you stay in on the poles. There are massive amounts of force going against into the poles. A lot of damage is being done every 2 weeks or so. The fences are thrown off the pole, but they never know which ship really did damage. So with the help of our sensors, it will be possible to monitor the impact and get an alert the moment the impact is too high, so they can go to the boat which is lying there at the moment and maybe get insurance case out of it. But this is in the middle of the water, so it's very difficult to get electricity there. So this is where LoRa comes in for us, hopefully. So with the help of LoRa, we hope to successfully implement these sorts of projects all through the Amsterdam area. So LoRa hopefully offers to the makers in Port of Amsterdam a great opportunity to push our sensor project forward in the Amsterdam port area. This was our talk.
Thank you very much, Paul, from the Zoom room. It's going to be the last. John? There. It's going to be the last speaker after we get onto the presentation.
No.
You want to comment as well? No.
I'm not going to do a presentation. I only got 5 minutes. So I have a little notebook here. I'm Paul Manmore. I'm one of the co-founders with Jonathan Carter, who's not here today. So I'm here. Gomorrah and Gomorrah Beacons. We work with Herbergon and the city of Amsterdam. Together with them, we've created the Amsterdam IoT Living Lab. The IoT Mile is now on the Rotterdam between Central Station and the Marine Center. And if you look closely, right here, that's a beacon, but right there is a LoRa beacon. And the most important thing about the LoRa beacons is it is two-way communication. And you can manage these beacons in the city on a 3-kilometer radius, and in the country on a 30-kilometer radius. And so we're creating very large managed networks. And this is an open network. This is an open platform. And it's a living lab. So we really want people to come and experiment. We have permission to put anything on these poles. So you can put a sensor on the pole. We are measuring Bluetooth-enabled devices in front of our tech. We hold meetups. Our next one is October 7th, ibeaconlivinglab.com. We are holding a hackathon in November in time for the Museumnacht and the Amsterdam Light Festival. And we're in the Marine Center, which is now an innovation hub, and they're very kind to us. And anytime we want to experiment, we have their permission. We're working with the Ministry of I&M on cost sector logistics on a smart sign, which is also LoRa enabled, and we have the budget to create the first smart parking sign and test it in the Marine Center. And we invite developers and entrepreneurs and creative people to come and to engage with the technology. It's our job to, with the city of Amsterdam, facilitate the experimentation and the successful implementation of new technology in these cases using LoRa and Bluetooth technology. Thank you very much.
Next up is the hackathon. Break first. So when we come back, Luke's going to tell you a bit about how we're going to structure that. And yeah, if you already maybe bought some hardware, you want to have some ideas when you can aim for it. So when do you want to start? In 50 minutes, so 3:05. So 3:05, you want to have the hackathon. Thank you very much.